For millions of people, chronic pain is just a daily reality. But what if we've been thinking about it all wrong? I mean, what if it's not some kind of personal failing, but a real biological malfunction? Today, we're going to dive into the science that completely reframes chronic pain, showing it for what it is, a condition where the body's own protective systems have gone haywire.
This quote right here, it absolutely nails it. Think of your body's pain system as a super sophisticated fire alarm. It's designed to protect you. But in chronic pain, that alarm is broken. It's just stuck in the on position, screaming, danger, even when there's no flame anywhere in sight.
So let's really dig into this idea of a broken alarm, because this shift in how we see things is, well, it's crucial. We're moving from seeing pain as just a message to understanding that it's actually a malfunction in the messaging system itself.
Okay, and here you can see the huge distinction. Acute pain, that's your friend. It's a lifesaver. It's that sharp jolt that makes you yank your hand away from a hot stove. It's a clear, protective signal with a purpose. But chronic pain, that's a whole different animal. It's a signal that has lost its purpose. It just hangs around long, long after an injury is healed. And at this point, the pain is no longer just a symptom. It has literally become the disease.
So you might be asking, how on earth does this even happen? Well, the answer lies deep inside the brain and the nervous system. This is where the true story of chronic pain really begins to unfold.
It all starts with these guys, nociceptors. A good way to think of them is like tiny reporters scattered all over your body. Their only job is to detect potential danger, a cut, a burn, intense pressure, and then send an urgent report upstairs to the brain for processing. Notice I said danger sensors, not pain sensors. That's a really key distinction. And this is where the system really breaks down. With something called central sensitization, the entire nervous system goes on high alert. It's like the volume on those danger signals gets turned way, way up. The brain becomes so overprotective that even harmless things, like the touch of your clothes or a simple change in temperature, can be misinterpreted as a threat and therefore felt as pain. And let me be clear, this is not a psychological issue. It's a very real physiological state of a hypersensitive system.
But how does the nervous system get stuck in the state of high alert? Why doesn't it just reset? Well, the answer is a totally fascinating concept called neuroplasticity. This is simply the brain's amazing ability to rewire itself based on its experiences. It's how we learn anything new, from riding a bike to speaking another language. But here's the cruel paradox. In chronic pain, neuroplasticity, this incredible learning mechanism, actually turns against us. The brain essentially practices creating pain over and over again, and it becomes incredibly efficient at it. It strengthens the neural pathways for pain, basically hardwiring the sensation into the system. So, understanding this biological basis completely changes how we should be approaching treatment. I mean, since this condition literally rewires the brain and affects every single part of a person's life, you can't just treat it with a single pill. You absolutely have to treat the whole person. The modern approach that really gets this is called the biopsychosocial model. It might sound complicated, but it just recognizes that pain isn't only a physical sensation. It's this whole experience shaped by the interplay of biology, like those sensitized nerves, psychology, like how stress can amplify those signals, and even social factors, like a person's support system. To have any chance of being effective, treatment has got to address all three. And this link between pain and mental health is just so powerful. And it's a two-way street. As you can see from the data, having depression increases your odds of developing chronic pain. And living with chronic pain, it nearly doubles your odds of developing depression. It becomes this vicious cycle where each condition just fuels the other, making it incredibly hard to break free. So because the problem is so complex, the solution has to be comprehensive. An effective treatment plan is what we call multimodal, which just means it uses several strategies at once. This includes things like medication, sure, but also psychotherapy like CBT to handle the psychological stuff, physical activity to help retrain the body and brain, and self-management techniques to empower the patient. There really is no single magic pill. And this is so, so important. We need to completely reframe our expectations of medication. The goal isn't to get to zero pain. Instead, medication is a tool for what you could call biological optimization. A 30% reduction in pain might not sound like much, but it can be a total game changer. That can be the difference that allows someone to start physical therapy, to finally sleep through the night, and to actually engage with all the other parts of their treatment. The focus has to be on restoring function, not just chasing an impossible number. So when you put all this science together, it leads us to a much more effective and, frankly, a much more compassionate way for clinicians, patients, and their families to approach chronic pain together.
So what does this look like in practice? Well, it all starts with listening and validating the patient's experience, making it clear that yes, the pain is real. Then, instead of just asking what's your pain on a scale of 1 to 10, the goal becomes collaborative. What do you want to be able to do again? And crucially, it involves educating the patient on the very science we've just covered, so they understand what's happening in their own body. Finally, it's about creating that personalized, multimodal plan together.
This really represents a fundamental shift away from a cure mindset. It's a lot like other chronic conditions, like diabetes or asthma. The focus becomes management and control. The goal isn't to eradicate the problem, but to restore function, improve quality of life, and empower the person to live well, even with their pain. And this brings us to a really powerful final thought. When we finally understand chronic pain as a biological condition of a sensitized nervous system, and not as a personal weakness or a character flaw, we change the entire conversation. That knowledge, all by itself, can reduce fear, empower patients, and lead to so much more compassionate and effective care. So what if our most potent treatment isn't a pill at all, but a new perspective?